The rain in Spain falls directly. I have no idea.
Oh, Eliza.
The rain in Spain falls. I don't know how it goes.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plane?
On the plain.
On the plane. Oh boy.
Eliza Doolittle. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we are incredibly thankful that we are here. Like, share, subscribe, all that crap. I just listened to a show and they were bemoaning the like, share, and subscribe stuff.
Oof, okay.
And talking about how many hours people have wasted in their life being told to like, share, and subscribe. So I'm not wasting hours. I'm wasting 30 seconds.
If that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of it was the story about
wasting time on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
All right. We are, as we said, excited to be here. We're excited that you are here watching or listening. And we are going to jump in to our topic of the day.
Yes.
Which is catching the vision.
Yes.
So, would you like me to start or would you like to start? How about I set the stage and then you take over?
Sure. Go for it.
Here's Fiona. No.
Set the stage.
That was me setting the stage.
That was you setting the stage?
No.
Okay.
All right. A couple of... Why am I doing that? You should do this. This is your story.
That's what I was...
So again, back to my setting of the stage of, here's Fiona. Take it away. I'm going to take a nap.
You just always have so much more to say. No, you are going to be part of this.
So much to say?
So much to say. Well...
Don't talk over me.
If you don't talk, I don't have to talk over you. Okay.
All right.
So here we go.
Here we go.
So this topic came up in regards to a ladies' meeting that we had. And I know that some of the ladies that were at the ladies' meeting let me know that they do enjoy the podcast. So if you're watching, so glad you are and glad to have you. And you have already heard part of this, and that's okay. Catching the vision. We got into this because when we were setting up for the ladies' meeting, and this is not just like an afternoon tea or whatnot. We invited other churches. We had a big luncheon. We had giveaways. We had prizes. We had a couple of the other pastors' wives from around the area come with some of their churches. They got up and they did a panel at the end. So it was an event. It was more than just a ladies' meeting. It was an event. But what I just mentioned in the beginning is something that we're going to talk today about is catching the vision. A few months ago, your mom,
yes,
Pastor Brenda, came to me and said, I want to do a ladies' meeting. And I said, okay, sure. There's obviously a lot more to that than that, and she said, so you're not going to talk over me, you're going to laugh over me. That's okay.
No, I'm going to laugh subtly under your statements.
Okay. And
chuckling to myself.
Okay. All right. And anyway, so she came to me and she says, I want to do a ladies' meeting. Okay. And within, a couple minutes discussion, she told me, she's like, and I want it to be called Moxie. I think our ladies need to get more moxie. And I was like, okay. And to be honest, at first I was not overwhelmed because that's not the right word, but not sure where it was going. Let's just put it like that. And wondering about what she had said in the title. Now, I could have done two things at that moment. I could have dismissed it or recognizing, and I did the second, which I'll discuss now. But the second thing was recognize that this came from my pastor and she has something in her heart that she wants to make happen. Mm-hmm. So we had a brief conversation. I left. I had to go run errands and do stuff that I have to do for church and, deal with my administrative responsibilities. And during, the next half hour while I'm doing everything, I'm kind of focusing on and thinking about what she brought forward to me. And like I said, I had two choices. One, dismiss it. Two, try to catch her vision. And once I realized and recognized the heart of her vision, what she was trying to do and what she wanted to accomplish from it, I recognized that this was something that I needed to catch a hold of. So I then came back and, saw her and went to her and I said, I see it. Mm-hmm. And recognizing what moxie means, the fact that we need more courage, the fact that we need more boldness, the fact that we need more perseverance, determination, this is important. And getting your moxie back on its own is its own very important fact. But I recognized her vision in it. Mm-hmm. And at that moment in time, I realized, okay, I see her vision. So she had the initial vision and I caught it. But it takes more than just her and I in order to pull this off, right? Two people aren't going to carry out a vision. It's much easier when you have more than two people. So I then continued and your aunt helps me out in the office. And so I went to her and said, okay, this is what we're going to gear towards. And at that point, it came to a point where I was like, okay, well, I need to make sure that the whole church is in this. Because when a vision is set by the pastor, it needs to become the church family's vision so it can carry out. Pastor having a vision without the church family being behind him, nothing happens. Mm-hmm. So we sat there and we kind of hashed on it. I don't remember if it was that day or another day, but we're like, okay, I'm going to get in touch with half the ladies, get her in touch with half the ladies, got in touch with a couple of the men because you always need them too, and just been, put it out there. Hey, here's Pastor Brenda's vision. This is what we want to accomplish. Can I count on you for this? Can you help me with this? Sometimes it was just a very overall general, can we count on you to help? For some people, it was hey, I'm going to need you to do A, B, and C. Can you do this? And within 2 hours of reaching out to the church family, we heard back from everybody. And everybody was in. Everybody said yes. Nobody even questioned or said, nobody even said, I don't really know if that's going to be a possibility. We got resounding yeses. Mm-hmm. And it was at that moment that I was like, okay, Pastor Brenda had this vision. I took it and kept passing it along. But the entire church family that we connected with also caught that vision. And I recognized the importance. I don't think I realized it at first when she first brought it forward to me. But as I worked through the process and passed that vision down and shared the vision, watching everybody grab hold of it was awesome. And we had some ladies who took off of work. We had, let's just put it this way, a lot of people sacrificed a lot of time, effort, and money in order to be able to take this vision and run with it. Now, all this being said, we just had the ladies' meeting last Saturday in May. And because we caught the vision, the anointing was able to follow on that day. And it was only because the vision was caught and everybody came together. When a vision is put out there, there's a lot of work that goes behind it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A vision sounds great, but you can't fulfill a vision or accomplish a vision or see a vision come to pass without actively engaging to ensure that vision does come to pass. It requires active participation by many. And there were a good number of people. We set goals for this. We worked very hard for a long period of time.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. But it was a vision that our pastor had that the church caught hold of. And because of that, we had a successful event. Lives were touched. People came expecting and received. And I'm hoping to hear of testimonies that come from it following. But it was something that was needed, and Pastor Brenda saw it, and we carried it through.
Well, and the biggest, see how well I did not interrupt you?
You did a great job.
I had a couple moments where I was ready
You
to
were
go.
ready.
Yep. I didn't. I waited.
I will pass it over to
No,
you.
no, no,
You
no, it's
share
fine.
what
It's
you've
fine.
got
It's
now.
fine. The biggest thing that allowed that to happen, the manner in which it did, and be as successful as it did,
Right.
was because not only did, so Pastor Brenda had the vision for it,
Yes.
right? And you might sit back and go, it's a one-day ladies meeting. This is not a big deal. We're making much ado about nothing. And you can have that opinion. That's fine. But it was still a large event. It was a one-day event, but it was a big event.
Yes.
We did a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And she could have had the idea or the vision, however you want to
Right.
figure that out in your head. And if that's all she had and no one caught it, it would have been just a regular like, hey, everybody show up. I'm going to share. And then you all go home. Right? If it was even that.
I was going to say, I don't even think we would have had the day.
Again.
Yes.
Right? It could have been as simple as that.
Yeah.
But because she had a vision for what she wanted, right? That was imparted into her,
Yes.
right? And then you caught it and started to run with it. But then the next big thing that made it effective and made it happen was the fact that we had buy-in from the majority of the church, right? All the ladies you talked to, all the men that were involved in helping in the prep and the execution and the cleanup, all of that stuff, right? Not only were they willing to come help, but they were excited about coming to help. And there's a difference there, right? There's a difference in attitude and there's a difference in the effectiveness when someone buys into the vision that you have. So whether it's your pastor, whether it's your church, whether it's your family, whether it's your job, right? I listen to a lot of former military guys in leadership roles, right? That talk about buy-in and not catching vision because they don't always use it that way, but buying into the direction of a company or of a business, right? And it's really easy to be excited about something, but not buy in, right? When you catch the vision, you've bought into it. It's not just this is a good idea, I'll show up, right? You're buying in. You are sacrificing, whether it's time, money, expertise, right? You are spending that capital to buy into the vision, right? To buy into the direction. And when we see it at our house all the time. When we come in and say, hey, kids, we got to clean the house up. You've made a fort in the basement, and we need to record in said basement that 24 hours ago, this whole thing was a fort. A large one.
Large one. It had rooms.
I got stuck in it.
Yeah, it had rooms.
Yep. If we just ask them to, hey, go clean it, and they kind of just shove it out of the way so we can set up and record, right? Did they accomplish it? Sure. Did they do it? Kinda. But when they catch and again, you may think I'm stretching here, and I kind of am, but I'm not. When the kids catch the vision of our family, right? And they buy into what our family is about.
Right.
They know that we're totally cool with them building a kick-in fort. But they also know, because they know the expectations and they're willing to be a part of it, that when we say, hey, clean it up, we don't just mean shove it around the corner, get it out of sight so that we can do whatever we're going to do in that space. They know that our expectation of them buying into and catching, again, the vision of the family, that's the expectation. That's the level we're trying to get to, right? We, in church specifically, this one is a huge one, right? Catching the vision of what your church is trying to accomplish, the direction it's trying to go, what it's trying to be.
What its reach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? That is such a huge thing for people in the church to do. And I'm trying to not get in trouble, which is...
Every time.
I know.
Every time.
When your pastor has again, in this case, it was a one-day large ladies event, right? It wasn't a ladies meeting. It was a stinking event.
Yes, it was.
But whether it is your church or your pastor has a desire to start a soul winning campaign, right? A big outreach. And I'm using that because we've got friends, and that's something that their church is really bought into and focusing on right now. And you can see which church members have bought into that and which ones haven't.
Yep.
Right? When we're trying to do something at our church and whatever it is, right? And I'll pick on an area for fun and hopefully not get in trouble. We'll find out.
All right.
Pastor, currently, one of his visions and directions is his Insights, his End Times podcast.
Right.
Right? It's fantastic. It's approximately 60 minutes a week, 3 episodes. There is, and again, I'm using this example specifically because it's not easy for the church to catch it.
Ooh.
Right?
Right.
The soul winning one's easy because your pastor says, hey, we want to start a soul winning campaign. So everybody go out and start witnessing to people. Not that that is easy. I'm not saying that's easy.
Right.
But the concept
of
and
it.
the buy-in to a soul winning campaign to reach your community is pretty simple.
You don't have to think
It's pretty basic.
too much about it.
Go out, talk to people,
Right.
share Jesus, invite them to church.
It's an expectation.
Yeah. You guys are going to put on some picnics and some outreaches and some whatever, kids play dates, VBSs, whatever it is. That's a really easy thing to do as a church, right? The buy-in's pretty easy, right? Catching that vision isn't that complicated, right?
Right.
The example I'm running with for a second, though, is our pastor has an end times ministry that he's working on, that he's developing, that he's growing. Again, we're 800 something episodes in. The hours that he spent on this is astronomical.
Yeah.
But for the church family, there's not a lot they can do. Right? How do they help with this? I'm in charge of all of our technical, which means right now, I'm the one editing this. I'm recording it, I'm editing it, I'm uploading it, and I'm sharing it. Right? I'm managing the social media aspect of it. I'm managing the ingest, output, all of that fun stuff. If you're a video person, you'll get that. If you're not, you go, huh? We're recording it, editing it, exporting it. The way the church catches that vision is they listen to it,
Yes.
they share it,
Yes.
and they promote it.
Right.
So, and this is where I tiptoe for funsies as I walk a tightrope.
Right.
If I went and asked everybody in our church, everybody who knows Pastor Brian or Dr. Brian through wealth producers, through all the different things he's done, right? The people that quote unquote follow him, right? If I asked them, they'd all say, oh yeah, we've got the vision. We've bought into what he's doing. He's great. We've totally bought in. How many people are sharing that? That bar is really, really low, right? Because again, they can't buy into the work aspect of it because there's nothing for them to do.
Right. It's a one.
Right?
Yeah.
Our company built the studio because that's something my company does.
Yep.
We build studios. We built the studio. We record it. Like, if I had 3 guys from the church that volunteered to come help catch the vision and move insights along, I don't know how much they can do.
Right.
But they can share it.
But they can.
They can promote it.
Yep.
They can take the business cards and hand it out to everybody who's concerned about what's going on in the world today,
Yep.
which is literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying for any of my church that listens to this, I'm not saying you're not doing that, but I'm challenging you to maybe do it with a little bit more purpose because you've probably quote unquote said that you've caught that vision.
Well, what it comes down to, and what you're alluding to, is I used the ladies' meeting as an example because it was an easy example of not the fact that it was a one-day event, but it was an easy example of what happens when a vision's caught and everybody runs with it. And the whole point of that, as you're alluding to with everything, the way that you get stuff accomplished in the kingdom of God is by catching the vision that stems from your pastor.
Yeah.
Whether big or small. However, if you can't fulfill the small visions and you can't bring the small visions to pass, you don't have a chance with the large ones.
No.
And I think with this situation, being able to see a smaller vision, all things considered, a one-day event come to pass was encouraging.
With major buy-in.
With major buy-in, with dedicated help, with sacrifice from a number of people, because there was a lot of and you and I always sacrifice. That's almost kind of expected.
I am not digging that hole.
No, but what I'm saying is to actually have sacrifice from other people who helped bring it together was honestly awesome, and I really enjoyed it. And then what I'm saying from this is, in this small example of this vision to come to pass, we need to, and anybody at our church knows, or I mean, honestly, any church, you see something come to pass, that is how we need to attack the visions that come from our pastor. Because what we need to remember is those visions, they're not coming from that man.
Right.
They're they are
it's
heavenly.
impartation.
It is. And it's coming from heaven. That's part of who our pastor is, to carry out the work of Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is the head, we are the body, but it's that work of Jesus Christ that the pastor's imparting and he is bringing to us. And we will never be able to accomplish the large visions if we can't fulfill the small ones.
Yeah, if we can't catch the small vision, then the large vision is going to be unattainable.
It's gonna die.
And again, I don't know how many times I've said this on the show, but it comes down to it's not equal giving, right? It's not equal investment of time or money or anything else. It's about equal commitment. And if we can get the body of Christ to catch the vision of their pastor, of their leader, right? And understand what they're trying to accomplish, right? Yep. Don't just blindly follow. Understand. Figure it out.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Every church is going to have a different vision. And that's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. So stop looking at what another church is doing and wondering why your church isn't doing what that church is doing.
You might not be called to do that.
Exactly. And your pastor may not be called to lead that particular vision or whatever it is. But what you need to realize and recognize is stop looking at another church's vision if that's not your church. Keep your eyes set on the vision your pastor has, because when you come together as your church body, you are called to a church. You are called to sit under a pastor. And when you come together and recognize that that is your home, that is where God placed you, and that pastor who is looking out for your soul has a vision, a heavenly vision, that is the vision that you pick up and run with.
Yeah.
And when the body of Christ, when the church family in this situation can come together underneath the pastor, underneath the covering of their pastor, with the vision that he has, and they unite. Unity is huge. And they unite with the vision. I think you shouldn't be surprised, but I think you would be surprised at what you would be able to accomplish. But you need to stop looking at somebody else's vision over there, or somebody else's church, or the church vision over there, or that church vision over there, when that's not your church and that's not your pastor.
When it's not your calling necessarily.
No, because of that.
Right? And why would you bring this up? This is such a good one.
Because it's important.
No, I know.
We're going to wrap this up in a few minutes.
We're trying really hard.
But
that's such a big thing in Christian circles, right?
Yes.
It is big in business too, but I would argue it's more destructive in church circles.
Yes, absolutely.
Because to your point, the number of times I've had someone come to me and say, I think we should be doing this. That church is doing this, and it's working very well for them. We should be doing this.
Careful.
And I've looked at them and filtered and filtered and filtered some more to ultimately come out with, that's not the vision pastor has for the church. Again, that was 3 filters to get to that simplicity and politeness.
Right.
Of, if God is going to talk to your pastor, and if you're going to believe that God is talking to your pastor, speaking to him,
right,
directing him, her, whatever, then God doesn't need you to go tell your pastor what his vision should be.
Yeah.
Catch the vision of your leader. Pick it up and run with it.
Yes.
Right? Every time we talk about vision or submission or any of these things, I always come back to Moses and Aaron, right? Aaron was perfectly capable. He was called to Moses to help lift up Moses' arms, right? He caught the vision of what Moses was trying to accomplish with the Israelites and lifted up his arms to help him accomplish that vision. Not to lift up one arm and go, we should do what those guys over there are doing. That's a great idea. Sorry, my hand's up to the camera.
Yeah.
We should be doing. That's not what he did.
Right.
He picked up the vision and ran with what the vision was. So in your ladies' meeting that y'all had, if you had a specific vision based on whatever it was, if there had been a bunch of chatter about, well, we could do it this way. What if we did it this way? What if we did this?
Or what if the topic was this? Or what if the topic was that? Or what if our focus was this?
That's not catching the vision.
No.
Right?
That's creating your own vision. Separate.
Or manipulating of it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not to go down that wormhole, because we are going to wrap this up.
Yes, we are.
Catch the vision of your leaders.
Yeah.
And do everything you can to help them achieve that.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next one.
Yep.
The next step, the next iteration, the grander vision.
Yes.
And go with it.
Yeah.
And we're leaving it there. We're done.
We're done.
All right. Thank you, as always, for watching and sticking with us this long.
Yes.